Obviously, no doubt about the star of the show, Hurricane Fly. Is he just about exactly where you'd want him at this stage?
I think so. He was probably the biggest worry we had pre-Christmas, and he came right in for Leopardstown. So hopefully now we'll just keep, we can just keep him at the same sort of level that he was at going to Leopardstown. That will do me, I think.
Ruby Walsh is motionless as Hurricane Fly, the champion hurdler, pings the final flight out in front of Oscars Wells, and it's come fly with me as they race up towards the finish. Hurricane Fly, what a seasonal reappearance, what a training performance, and Hurricane Fly and Ruby Walsh win the BHP Insurance Champion Hurdle.
Do you notice any difference in him this year, will he say, to going into the festival last time around?
Well, I think he's a lot more settled at home, so maybe just that he's growing up, getting more mature. But if he is more settled, it means he'll probably have more at the end of the race. I thought last year he was very free throughout the whole race, and that can't be good for a horse trying to conserve all his energy for the last half mile.
We've seen him out exercising this morning. What sort of routine would he have between now and the big day?
More or less the same. We'll do a few bits of fast work in the between now and then, but that'll be it. We might bring him away for a day as well, and we'll just play it by ear. Hopefully we won't get any setback, and then we'll just try and have the same sort of routine as we did last year.
Do you feel any extra pressure this time, bearing in mind he's obviously such a short price favourite?
I feel a lot more pressure if he was injured or out of action. I think it's nice to have a good horse going for one of the good races in Cheltenham. I think that's what our game is all about. To have those type of horses about the yard, they're very hard to come by. Lots of horses look like that cost a lot of money, and when you go race them and come into that final 2 furlongs and you expect that little kick that you paid for, and it's not there, he's just an ordinary horse or a good horse, not a very good horse. So it's nice to have one like that.
And Thousand Stars now begins to assert, is 2 lengths in front of Oscars Well, and they're followed by Petoni, and over the last Thousand Stars now beginning to lengthen on as they race up towards the finish. Thousand Stars will make every inch of it to win for Ruby Walsh.
And with 1,000 Stars, just moving on to him, wonderful servant. He's obviously been on the wrong end like so many horses of a few beatings from Hurricane Fly. Were you disappointed with this one last time out though in the Irish Champion, because it didn't seem like he ran up to his best and didn't jump as well as he can?
I think he made those 2 mistakes at the third last and the second last, and that was disappointing. If he hadn't made those 2 mistakes, he'd have run a cracker. Why he made them, I don't know. Maybe do you remember it was an awful stormy wet day, and even though that shouldn't bother him, maybe it did, jumping out of that. A lot of water on the track that day and everything. I'm sure he won't encounter conditions like that again. But he did make those mistakes. We thought he was in tremendous form going to the race, and if Hurricane Fly didn't fire, we thought he was going to take a lot of beating anyhow. He'd done one of his best gallops, pre-race gallops ever, going into that Leopardstown race.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was just looking at it last night. He's actually, despite being the same age as Hurricane Fly, he's run twice as many races as him, but he seems to still have a good appetite though, does he? I
mean, he's just an iron horse. I don't think he's ever been off with an injury or anything, never gets a cold, and like Hurricane Fly is so hard on himself that he's given himself little knocks, and he has such good potential, or he had such good potential. I was over-minding him because when you get a horse like that in the yard, you want to protect him as much as you can for the big days, whereas Thousand Stars, he pulls out every day, runs a good race. He's kept improving all the time since he's been here, and he's very hardy, very strong.
He's in the Champion Hurdle and the World Hurdle again, Willie. Is there any temptation to try something different this time around, bearing in mind that there's no obvious reason why he could beat Hurricane Fly, whereas he's still quite unexposed over the longer trips? That's
right. I mean, the race I had sort of planned from was the race in Aintree, the Aintree Hurdle. I thought at the start of the season, if he's going to win a Grade 1 race, that might be the race. But he won the Morgiana, which was great, and takes the pressure off. We'll probably go back for the French Champion Hurdle, and we'll see what happens as we come near the day which race he will go for, but he's a great reserve to have for Hurricane Fly.
So Young kicks now and takes a couple of lengths out of Trifolium as they come down to the final flight. It's So Young at the last, over in front of Trifolium, well clear of Oil Lily as they race uphill towards the finish. It's So Young the leader.
And Willie, So Young's had a good season, albeit a softly one so far. 3 wins at a lower level. His form at Navan, though, is well boosted by Trifolium. Is he likely to go?
Yeah, it's just like 1,000 Stars, he could go in either race as well. His form is improving all the time, I think, and he is improving. He's a much stronger horse than he was last year. I remember he ran in the Neptune, I think it was last year. Didn't get the run of the race, made a bad mistake at the last as well. And I suppose he is a stayer. Pedigree wise he's a stayer, and that's probably the way we will go with him.
And it's the battle of the Walshes at the final flight. Quevega made a slight mistake but still leads. Moorhead gives chase for Katie, racing up to the finish. Willie Mullins is going to have a 1-2. Quevega! She's done it again.
Most people's banker, I'm sure, what you regard as your best chance of the week is probably Quevega in the Mare's Hurdle once again. And it looks as though the race, Willie, is really cutting up a bit this year, doesn't it? It's on paper not the strongest ever race.
As I said, I hadn't been minding what the others do, but she's in great form. She was in terrific form, ready to run there about 3 weeks ago. Then she just went out of sorts a little bit. I gave her 10 days easy. Now she's back good and strong again. I remember 2 years ago I ran her in a schooling hurdle and she came back lame on the same leg that had her out the previous year. I got such a fright, I said I was never going to run her again until the festival, and it seems to work, and she takes her training well that way, so I'm very pleased with her. And
because there's so little mileage on the clock for her, she's only an 8-year-old still.
Yeah.
Do you think she's actually, if anything, maybe coming into her prime now?
Well, her breeder told me her mother was never any good until she was 8 or 9, so
I've news for the rest of them.
He says that family keeps improving, and that's what he told me years ago, and I thought, well, we'll see, but I can't disagree with him. She's certainly as good as she was anyhow.
Zaidpour is only to jump the last, which he does, and stretching on up towards the finish in effortless fashion, not asked a question, and justifies his long odds-on position in the market with ease. Zaidpour and Paul Townend.
Another one we saw this morning, Willie, Zaidpour, another horse that's had a great season, 4 out of 4. I suppose the worry with him is the ground. Ruby was saying after he won in Gower, and he was very soft ground dependent. Would that mitigate against him travelling, do you think?
I think so. Just talking to a friend of ours who has a farm right beside the track in Cheltenham, he said it's the driest he's ever seen the ground in his lifetime around his farm. And Simon Clay said he was going to start watering, but I hope they put plenty of water on it. With those sort of reports coming out, Zaidpour wouldn't look one that we'd be looking to travel.
In the unlikely event it did suddenly become soft ground over there, would you see him as a player in whatever race you sent him for?
Yeah, I mean he's in both the Champion Hurdle and the Stayers Hurdle. If the ground was really soft, you might go for the Champion. If you thought it was soft enough for him to run only, you might just go for the Stayers. But at the moment, we just seem to have a lot of horses in that category. So we have staying hurdlers. We'd have 3 or 4 that could easily run in the World Hurdle on their merit.
Mikel Dagan under pressure, can't get on terms. Rick is back in third as they near the final flight. Murad is 5 lengths cleared of Mikel Dagan. Rick back in third on the run in. Murad is cleared, is going to win the Ladbrokes Boyne Hurl in good style.
And another one, of course, is Mikel Dagan, who got beaten at Navan on Sunday. Now, at the time you thought maybe he mightn't have been quite at his best. Has anything shown up since?
Nothing has shown up since. He rode out this morning. He was fine. The handicapper said on a line through Rick, it's as good as his last win, and he said Murad had been disappointing, and maybe he's just come back to his best form, which it looks like, and then he could have a rating of 160, which would have left the result all right, but we'll see. I didn't think there was anything wrong with him since the race, but it wouldn't stop me bringing him to Cheltenham. He deserves to go anyhow.
And he seemed to be getting his confidence back, really, with those 3 previous wins. How realistically, how far off his best do you think he was going into Navan, say?
Well, I thought he was at his best, and I was only running Murad to maybe, you know, it looked an easy enough race at the time, and I thought, well, he should earn place money, and in fact he was the one that you know, won the race. Now, one thing about Mikel, he did a lot of racing in the middle part of the race. He just got buzzed up, I thought, and maybe that affected his what he had left at the end. I thought going down the back into the soft ground, he was racing very, very hard when he needn't have been, but it's just the way the race panned out. They all bunched up and he just took a hold of the bridle, and that just might have taken the edge off him for the last 3 furlongs.